When you understand that it's a spirit that you're going back and forth with and not the person, you will learn that it's better to just keep quiet and let them get the last word. Ephesians tells us we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places. People can have certain spirits that dwell within them: the spirit of anger, the spirit of wrath, entitlement, pride, ego, and you got to understand how these spirits work. With those spirits, their energy comes from draining ours. You know how we get energy from the sunlight, we get energy from doing good to others, showing love, receiving love, peace. These demonic spirits, they receive their energy from others. They have to drain others. Proverbs talks about this. The wicked can't go to sleep at night until they lead somebody astray. If you don't give them your energy, they will have to leave you alone. Submit to God, resist the devil, and he shall flee. They have no choice but to leave you alone. Why? Because they need that fill up. They need energy. If they can't feed off of your energy, they have to leave you alone and they have to go someone else that does. And the only way to see this is you got to actually apply it. The next time someone tries to go back and forth with you, even if you are in the right and you know the truth, you have to look past that person and look at that spirit, because you don't want to cast your pearls into swine and it's like you're talking to a brick wall. If you discern already that this person, what you're about to say, they're not even gonna care about it, it's just gonna go in one ear and out the other, it's no point in even speaking anything. A fool utters all his mind, but a wise man keeps it in till afterwards. It talks about that in Proverbs as well. And just watch what will happen. When you're not feeding into that, you're not going back and forth, what is going to happen? You will see that in that person. They slowly will start to look like they're getting more and more drained. And what's going to eventually happen is they're just going to have to leave you alone. Because the word tells us so many times, right? To be slow to speak, slow to wrath, to let the other person speak all their mind first, to discern the spirit. You know a tree by its fruit. Test the spirits. And when you just keep quiet in certain situations, I've observed this so many times where back then, before I knew the truth, I would be going back and forth. Even if I knew I was in the right, I would be going back and forth and forth. And have you guys ever observed this, right? When you're going back and forth with people, when you're just going based off of opinions, that argument, it never ends. It constantly keeps going. That's why the arguments keep happening. When you're going back and forth bickering based on opinions, where there's no concrete truth, you're going to go back and forth forever because each person is going to feel like they're right. But when you have things backed by the actual truth, you go to the word is there, regardless if they want to listen to it or not. Back then, I remember there'd be a lot of times where, and I'm quite sure some of you guys have observed this as well, where you would find yourself falling short and you end up going back and forth with this person and you start to feel drained. Have you ever observed this? Like you start going back and forth with these people, you're arguing, you're feeding into that, and you start to feel drained. You don't feel, even if you end up winning that argument, right? Even if you get that last word, you still feel like you lost because you feel drained. That's why, because that spirit that was in that person, they did their job. They're going to, that's how they get their energy. They did their job. And when they run out of energy, they got to go find somebody else to mess with. And if they see you give the devil an inch, he will take it a mile. If they see that they can keep on feeding off of you, they're going to keep on coming back to you, right? If you have a tree that constantly keeps producing fruit, you're going to keep on coming back to that tree to get more fruit. If that tree, or a well, right? If you had a well that continues to keep on producing water, you're going to continue to keep coming back to that well. But what happens when that well dries up and there's no more water that you can get? You're going to go find another place to obtain that source of water. That's the same thing that it's like for these spirits. If you continue to keep feeding into them and give them that energy, then they're going to keep on coming back to you. They're going to keep on coming back and keep on draining. And what's going to happen is when you decide to stop giving them your energy, because it's a choice. When you stop giving them your energy, they're going to get pissed off. Because that easy access, that source of energy that they had, they don't have it no more. Now they got to actually go find somebody else. That's going to piss them off. You're allowing all these wrath, you're allowing these spirits in you for at what profit? What does it profit you to win the argument but lose all of your energy? What do you gain from that? That's an ego thing. Because what you'll see is when you continue to keep resisting, those people have to flee. And it's gonna get to the point where all it takes is for you to experience that feeling one time. Because when you keep on going back and forth, you're not gonna be able to understand, and you're not gonna be able to feel what I'm trying to say, because you haven't experienced it yourself. Experience is always the better teacher. Therefore, you have to actually experience it. And how can you experience it? You gotta actually resist that. It doesn't matter who that person is. It could be somebody super close to you. They want to argue back and forth. You know that you're in the right. Just keep quiet. Hold your tongue. Use your discernment. And just watch the blessings that you will receive from it. That's something that you can only experience. I can share my testimonies of all the times that it happened. But what does that profit you if you don't experience it yourself? Next time you have that opportunity, look at it as an opportunity. Even the way that you speak, look at these things as opportunities. This is an opportunity for you to grow. Don't look at that next argument. Don't look at that next tribulation of somebody trying to come at you as something bad. Look at that as an opportunity for you to level up more in life.